They'll be calling you a radical. So Rashid Shaheed has done it. He's made the Pro Bowl. This is an important video because the NFL scouts blew it. The NFL's still blowing it on J Hill players. They blew it on Rashid. They blew it on Jonah Williams. They blew it on a lot of them. Warriors at collusion to still Weber Big Sky players. So Rashid has made the Pro Bowl. First player in the history of Weber. That's saying a lot. You go back to those great teams in the days, you know, but Lee White, you know, so many great players over the years. So as I said right there, I interviewed him. The only real interview you'll ever find with Rashid, any media, whatever, is that one with me at the end when he tore his ACL, and I talked to him. I says, your name will be right there. I screamed and screamed because I did the play-by-play. Rashid Shaheed is the greatest football player I've ever seen. How are you guys missing this? And by the way, the Saints do not use him properly. And a free agent, 2 year, you know he's playing for the league minimum. This is the story that is so powerful. He's playing for the league minimum. And these bullshit contracts in the NFL, he's a 2-year deal. I mean, it's so because they get hurt, they just throw him to the Wolves. No, he's not unrestricted. So he could go to a 3rd-year deal for, you got it, the NFL minimum. So they're going to be stuck as a Saint again? I hope not. I hope somebody can make a deal. You know, he said in Denver he wants him. I mean, the guy should be making $20 million a year. Easy. You know, but they don't use him properly. Not only, you know, the punt return average, the electric plays, the Lambeau leap, all those plays. Look at his catch ratio per targets. Oh, he never drops a pass. He never did here. So I want to talk about this because last night, it's a year ago today, I entered the hospital all but dead. You know, and ended up with massive heart attack, 2 massive heart attacks. The team doctor here is my general practitioner doctor. The first time I've talked to him since this nightmare, and they missed it for 5 years, it was last night I talked to him after the game. I had a really good conversation, Dr. Madsen. I'm like, you know, he's like, yeah, Kevin, I'm so worried. I said, I don't blame you. You guys missed it for 5 years. It wasn't neuropathy like you guys will say. You were relying on the, you know, you're just the general practitioners. You're relying on my heart doctor, my cardiologist, Collado, and I'm telling him to his face, it's my valve. I said, that valve was too small the whole time. For 5 years, I suffered so hard through that. I don't know how I didn't die. So last night at the basketball game, this is important. I had quite the conversation, which I always have quite the conversation, with Dylan Jones. By the way, the last time I saw, well, no, that's the second to last time I saw Damian Lillard was running the stairs here. I knew what Rashid was from day one. Play back the tape, Your Honor. I'm screaming, get the fucking ball to Rashid. You know, I used to go crazy. He was never used properly here. He sure isn't used properly in the Saints. He needs to get out of there. I hope he does. You know, somebody needs to work a deal. You got a Pro Bowler that's going to play for the NFL minimum, 3-year minimum. Are you kidding me? He's undrafted. So he's had to sign. He had no choice to sign that contract. He made the practice squad by the skin of his teeth. Nobody drafted him. It's just a credit to J Hill. Nobody drafted Jonah Williams. Nobody drafted Opeta. You going on and on and on and on with these players here. You know, and we have others, but the J Hill era is over. But congratulations, Rashid. I always knew what you were. You know, and so last night, the great Dylan Jones. He's got a hurt knee. He had to come out of the game. They had that team. I mean, that Jackrabbits team, good, excellent. But Weber had them blown off. You know, they were ahead by 13 with, 4 minutes to go or so. And that's with Stephen Van Plank having his worst shooting night in his career, which that ain't going to happen again. He's all that. You know, and by the way, Blaze 3, I think's better than his father. And that's saying a lot, Sedell. Clocky reminded me last night, his claim to fame, and I'm like, Lakers point guard. And he says, he took over for Magic. And I says, that's irony because he's going to take over for Dylan Magic Jones. Dylan Jones is such a unique player. I had a long conversation with him last night, which I always do from the time he's a freshman. Go ask him. And he picks my brain, and he listens to what I have to say. He always has. Like he was talking about, Lillard was a different thing. I saw Lillard's tapes from when he was a freshman. When he got here, nobody had to have conversations with Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard was the kind of player you just kept your distance away from him. He was so, I never met anything like this. He was a freak. He was so obsessed. Work ethic, I remember Randy Ray telling me, well, his cousin Damian is even a better player, but he has a better work. I said, no, nobody has he doesn't have a work ethic like Damian. Nobody has a work ethic. So we were talking, Dylan and I, last night. I says, no, they didn't get on, including his old coach. Nobody got no PR. He got no love. He got nothing here. But remember, he developed that logo Lillard shot on his own. If he'd have started dropping 30 and 35 footers on a Randy Ray team, he'd have went to the end of the bench and he'd never left. Randy Ray was a dictator. His style was so mean. He would bury players for their whole careers. He'd put them on the bench and then never come off it. I never agreed with his style, and if you didn't do it, was your way or the highway. So Lillard couldn't do it. It was an impossibility. If Lillard would have done it, he'd have never played. So that's the problem with coaches around here. A lot of these coaches around here. Now, the football team here, they're done. It's over here. They hired a high school. Why they did that? They ruined this Marky J. Hill. The NFL played a clip that week that Rashid run that electric kickoff back at the Lambeau Leap Land, the punt. And they played the top 5 plays in the NFL. 3 of them were Weber State guys. TJ, of course. Tehran, not to be confused with the other T, because 2 of them played in the NFL at the same time. I did the call in those days. Jonah Williams with that big sack. Jonah Williams, the only person that gave any of them a scholarship was Jay Hill. What? Yeah. So, Dylan Jones. So, we're talking last night. He and I visited from the time he was a freshman. We've had a lot. When he was a freshman, he was not Damian Lillard. He was not. Damian Lillard, when he was a freshman, you can go play back the tape to everybody. I told everybody this guy's NBA stuff. This guy's NBA superstar stuff. As a freshman, because you just saw the talent blow your mind. So nobody was on Lillard his last year. He broke the foot the year before. It was Jimmer. That's all we heard. But they draw fans down there at BYU. They don't hear. So, Raptor. Oh, God, don't even get me going, those guys. So, it was this. I was in the bone marrow trial. I was dying of leukemia. I got cancer in 2011. It was the bracket buster game. I was talking to Dylan about this last night. He had the big game, but they never got on Lillard even going in the draft, really. There was talk in the second round, maybe. It's like there was Dylan last year, but Damian Lillard kicked the door down for Dylan Jones. That's how Dylan got into the so-called combine last year. Remember, he was the alternate because of Lillard and got him in, and he was like the best player. Like, what? So, Lillard, I don't think people know this. No one was even sure he was even going to be drafted till after the season. He played in that Nike league, and he tore it up in that Nike league, so they were watching a little bit. But when they worked him out, and they're like, oh, fuck. He started dropping 35-footers at will. Boom, boom. Standing underneath the basket and dunk it like we take a step. They're like, oh. And he had the scouts somewhat attended, but they sure weren't showing up here. Oh, they're showing. I'm sitting on the front row this year. Well, I sat on the front row then, but because I did the play-by-play for KWCR. Don't anymore. They don't even do basketball anymore. There's signals right there. They tore it off. I had Lillard sign the last broadcast. Was his infamous game. I said, Dylan, listen to me. He's comparing, saying, blah, blah. When he's always picking. Look. I believe you're going to be a point guard in the NBA. What? I says, listen. He's such a unique player that comparable players to Dylan Jones are real easy. I call him Dylan Magic Jones. I named him that 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Magic Johnson, Adrian Dantley, with those hips, he moves in, he plays at the rim like Charles Barkley. Those are the 3 players he plays like. He makes room, he can do it all. You know, he's unbelievable. You know, the only reason I told him, Dylan, listen, who can lead a conference in rebounding, scoring, and steals, and you're second in assists, and the only reason you're not leading assists, for some reason, these Weber State players cannot make a shot when Lillard passes to them, which blows my mind. They can any other time. So he hits the buzzer beater last night when he could barely walk. That knee's hurting him. They play Oral Roberts on Saturday down there, that 21-game winning streak Oral Roberts has. Can Weber win without him? Yeah. I really don't believe he'll play, but he might. I don't know. That knee's hurting him. So let's see if Joe Bass can do his magic. So Siddell 3 replaced Magic when he was HI5. Siddell 3 was all that. Well, Blaze 3. Oh, boy. Wow, how that dude ended up at a D2 school in Mesa, I don't know. He's something else. So I'm like, we're talking, having him sign stuff. I'm like, I don't have just any player sign stuff. You know, I had Rashid because I knew what Rashid was. Play back the tape. First person anywhere on this planet that started screaming, Rashid Shaheed's going to be a superstar in the NFL. You're looking at him. Play back the tape, Your Honor. I promoted him so hard. I told him not to play in that last game on the 11-yard line. You know, but I knew that from his first game. That game against Cal, I'm like, whoa. You know, I knew he was the world-class sprinter. But Dylan, when he was a freshman, you know, he knocked the referee out on accident up there last day. He's grown. Work ethic, oh yeah, he's dedicated. I mean, he's obsessed. Nobody's like Lillard. But he's pretty intense. I mean, Dylan, he's gone at it. And I'm like, listen to me. I hope you understand this. The reason I talk to you, and the reason we have this relationship, you and I going back and forth, and he says, well, nobody knows more than you, Blanch. I've learned that here. He really listens to me, and I'm like, we will never have another Dylan Jones. Ever. Not only are you one of the top 5 players in the history of the school, now, I mean, you're there with Damian Lillard. You're there with Willie Sojourner. You're there with Jerry Carding. You know, Ruben Nemhart. You're all that, then some. If you keep evolving this year, you're going to break every record the history of this school ever had. You know what that's saying? Do not kid yourself. There will never be another Dylan Jones. So, and nobody goes to the games. When BYU gets 19, BYU's good, but so's Weber. You know, so congratulations to Rashid. Shaheed. You gonna flip your soup can? Oh, yeah. I'm so excited because I made it a year. I've been in a rehab for a year. For the how time, you know, I got cancer in 2011, given 2 months to live, as you know. I've had open heart surgery twice, lost my gallbladder. You know, the only people that gave me any love at all on this university was the basketball team. You know, with my leukemia. You know, they knew my situation when I came out and watched the first game I got out of the bone marrow transplant. Me and my nurse went to that. I sat with Eddie Tillman, and we watched Damian Lillard's best game. That Texas Arlington game. I could barely walk. When I had the heart attack, I was ripped up. I was dying in the hospital a year ago. You know, Clouky would call me how Kevin Blanch is in there fighting for his life. Was the Weber State basketball players. Every one of them, rank and file, come up to me. Not the coaches, the players. 2, Dyson Kohler, Dylan Jones. You know, after that, Kevin, I'm so worried about you. I've been praying for you. Last night after the game, there's a handicap section up there. I've never seen a player walk up there, and he's hurting. His knee really hurts him. He takes the time, walks all the way up the stairs, and goes right over to the handicap players, or the handicap section. They're in wheelchairs way up there, and he goes over there and visits with them. You know, ask him if he can sign anything. That's the type of guy this guy is. So, congratulations to Rashid Shaheed, but it's over here. All these guys have bolted out of here, these great J Hill recruits. Headed to BYU? Well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? You gonna play here? Why would you rip this apart, which they did? So, I wish I had my Rashid Shaheed jersey with me, but I don't. Game worn. Well, second best, my San Diego shirt. 801 to 619, both of us. Back and forth. I was born here on 24th and Harrison at the old McCady Hospital. But I've been back and forth to Pacific Beach my whole life, San Diego. So is he, Rashid. So congratulations to Rashid. Get the big can out for this. I've said for years, the best hands I ever saw here. The greatest speed I ever saw here was, I think that's Abraham Williams. Yeah, he's still undeclared. Where's he going to go? I don't know, but the best hands I ever saw, bar none. That's easy. That's easy. You know, Rashid Shaheed. He never dropped a pass here. He never does in the NFL. They don't throw to him. They don't use him. He just blows by and gets 50, 60, 70-yard touchdown. So he's in the Pro Bowl. So I've said for years, why is Rashid Shaheed gearing up? We're supposed to get snow flying all week. Why has Rashid Shaheed got such great hands? I've said for years. Put that to tape. With that left, Jerry. You watch Kevin Blanch flip the soup can on this campus the whole time he was here. When I was fine, I never dropped the can in those days. He's playing for the league minimum. Will the Saints exercise their option to get him for the third year for the league minimum? I hope not. But because if he's an unrestricted free agent, he'd get $20 million a year. I'm telling you, he's that electric, he's that dynamic, he's that good, and they don't use him. I'm not a fan of that coach, the Saints. So somebody trade for him. You know, my grandsons who know him personally, who just, I mean, he was such a mentor to them, spent time with them, talking. You got to see those two run. The big comp soccer over here in the canyon. The coach over there says that's the fastest, freaking best gait, smoothest I've ever seen. I says, yeah. He got taught by Rashid Shaheed, you know, which he did. And so he was such a mentor to those two grandsons. Beyond a class act. So, same with Dylan Jones. I told Dylan last night, and I believe this. You know, people say oh, he's going to be this role player, this, that. Oh, you dropped your can. Just like Dylan missed the front end last night. I'm like, he never misses the front end. The game was on the line. So what did he do? Just come down with three guys all over him and hits the buzzer beater. And wins the game. You know, so I said, no. You're not going to be no role player in the NBA. You're going to be an NBA superstar. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. I said, you're going to play point guard in the NBA. But you're going to be one of those point guards. You're going to be, I named him right when I named him Dylan Magic Jones. And I remember when I first told him that a couple years ago, I said, these gods are making my head really grow. I says, your head, look at the rest of you. You continue to grow. You're a beast. But the way he has that dribble, the way he moves, the way he goes, it's Magic Johnson stuff. But I think he's even more dynamic as a point guard. You know, and that's saying a lot, the great Magic. But his size is perfect for it. He's a Barkley type. He's built like Barkley. He at the rim like Barkley. He knows how. He's Adrian Dantley. And if you don't know about Adrian, I remember coaching Dantley. He says, "Oh, you're old school." I says, "Oh, no, not that old." Dantley at the rim, forget about it. I mean, to get 4 rebounds on 1 possession and then make the free throw. He was a scoring machine. But the thing about Dylan, he's a beast on defense. This guy will guard the tallest guy on the floor and the shortest guy on the floor within minutes of each other. He plays all 5 positions, you know, but I named him right, Dylan Dantley Magic Jones. So I've been calling him DMJ, you know, Dylan Magic Jones. And it's just a total respect to the great Magic Johnson. And I think it's irony. Cloukley reminded me this last night. You know, Siddell's claim to fame, and I says, oh, that mega game he had against Phoenix where he went off. No, he took over for Magic as point guard. And I says, well, what do you think his son's going to do for this Magic? And he says, yeah, you got a point there. Dylan Jones will be one of the top 5 picks in the NBA. No doubt in my mind. He just gets better. This year he's having blows my mind. He's something else. So the athletes, I think it's such a gift, and I was talking about this to my doctor. You know, who's the team doctor here, Dr. Madsen? You know, it was a nightmare. You know, your young Dr. Hansen probably saved my life. 2 Dr. Hansen. Yeah, I'm still worried about you, Kevin. You know, because they had it wrong. I said, it wasn't your fault. It was Colado's fault. He missed it. I kept telling him it's that valve that got replaced in 2017, you know, the chemo. I lost my teeth. I lost my gallbladder. I was given 2 months to live. I'm connected to that hospital literally. I mean, this has been an ugly, hard battle for me for 12 years. Hardcore, but I think it's helped me to live, to grow, to learn, to be with my grandkids, because I would have been in Europe. I'd have been teaching in Austria, you know, fighting the nuclear energy crime scum. I think about how lucky I was because Manny Gonzalez, these guys asked me to do the play-by-play when I was real sick for football because nobody wanted to do it. You know, I said, I'll come back and do it. I've done it off and on for years. I think about the athletes that I got to know here since 2011 when I got cancer. Blows my mind. Scotty Bamforth, one of my favorites. Jerry Harding, my favorite. I told him last night, I says, Jerry Harding, always my favorite player. You know, before that was Ruben Nemhart, was always my favorite player. My favorite player, real quick, is becoming Dylan Jones in the history of the school. My favorite football player, bar none, was always Trevon Smith. I love Trevon Smith. But that's easy. Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed's the greatest football player I've ever seen here, and I've been here since 1963. I watched Lee White. I watched the great back from Ogden High School who just passed away. You know, it's funny because I was getting my retest taken because I got a bad test. And one of the players recognized me from Bonneville High School that played on that team in the early 60s. And me and him had quite the conversation about this football team in those days. You know, and Rashid Shaheed, in that interview, I says, your name will go right up there, so I want to ask you. I'm the only one that did it. The Standard Examiner sure fuck didn't do it. Deseret News, Tribune, KSL, nobody did it. I did it. I have all kinds of cool stuff. In fact, I have a football that I saved from the 70s, Pete Rozelle, Weber State football, that I've saved the whole time. Never let anybody sign it. I had Rashid sign it and Josh Davis. It's a credit to Jay Hill. What I was able to watch here and the athletes I was able to be involved with as my grandsons were growing and being with me, and I'm a 1%er. It was given 2 months. How I'm alive, I don't know. I mean, a year ago, to watch these incredible athletes grow into mega superstars, it actually blows my mind. So, Dylan Jones, no doubt, he's going to be an NBA superstar. I'm here to tell you. Go ask Lillard. Lillard knows. But he doesn't play for Randy Ray. He plays for Eric. And I was really worried about Eric getting the job. I'm not now. I'm so glad he did. Because I voted for Jimmy DeGraff to get the job. Now, here on football, they should have been in-house. It should have went to this coaching job. I voted for Andre Dyson or Coach Myers. Or even Duff, for that matter. Even though he's got a lot of experience, but we worked for Jay. It's a credit to Jay Hill. Jay Hill. I think Jay Hill needs to be given so much credit because he found these players. The only one that gave him a scholarship, Rashid, football scholarship, was Jay Hill. Same with Opeta. Same with, Jonah Will. All these, Adam Rodriguez. these great, incredible players, both TJs. Jay Hill, Abraham Williams, Winston Reed. Jay Hill needs so much credit for this. It's such a feather, and I got to go along for the ride. I feel blessed. I really do feel blessed. I got to watch these incredible athletes. While I'm fighting for my life. Congratulations, Rashid. Go Weber State basketball. Go with 2. How about what improve it 2? Dyson Core, the local. 3 from Plankton, off the bench. I call him VV, the Finn kid, Marco, all of them. You know, fantastic group of athletes here. You know, so congratulations, Rashid, Shaheed. I am so thrilled. Can't wait to tell my grandsons. They will be, I mean, they'll be ecstatic. They love Rashid. Well, Rashid actually used to take time to visit with them and have real conversations with them. And I think my grandson, like the big coach over here at the big soccer comp camp, you know, it's giant here. He says, that son of your grandson here's got the best gait. He's the fastest. You know, he's got some work to do, but he's built like no athlete like I've ever seen. And Rashid was such a mentor to him. You know, and that's, I think, one of the reasons that both those grandsons of mine, they're 12 years old now, have turned out to be such outstanding young men. Like Rashid. Player minimum? Really? Come on. Come on, somebody trade for him. Stay in tune.